Disclaimer, this video includes heavy language. If you would like to see the video with the language censored, click the screen now or follow the link in the description. Thank you.
So, we've made it to the other side and we're not sure what this is, but pretty sure it's how we're working. There's all these giant skeletons, we need to get the fuck out of here, close down the teleporter!
Let me stop you right there. I see where you're going with that, but yeah, no, we're gonna use this stuff, alright? Just keep it open. That seems like a smart idea. Doom! Oh my god, Doom!
Jayson's Judgements, I'm gonna judge a game.
If you know me, you know my favorite game franchise of all time is Doom. I even love Doom 3. But when the multiplayer beta for this most recent Doom dropped, it landed with a thud. Even I myself, who had a shitload of fun with it, had to admit that it just wasn't Doom. And that was enough to make me nervous. And then I start to hear the whispers of, oh yeah, there's no review copies going out for Doom. And I was just scared bordering on depressed because this is Doom. How can you fuck this up? It almost seemed like id Software didn't have faith in it. And I know they gave a bullshit reason of whatever, whatnot. Our multiplayer servers won't be available until launch or whatever. We all know that's bullshit, alright? The least they could have done is send out the review copies and embargo it until after release. Essentially, they did that, just in a shadier, shittier way. In fact, let's talk about the multiplayer since id Software thought it was so important to not give out review copies until it was fully launched. Now, before we really dive in, there's something that I need to explain because apparently a lot of people don't understand this. There's a difference between Doom and Quake. I say this because everybody's expecting Quake's multiplayer and this is Doom. Doom, without any modifications, has never had a good PvP multiplayer. Not once. 1, 2, 3, they were all shit PvP. Period. So in this vein, this is easily the best multiplayer that id Software has given us for Doom. That's not saying much, but it's the truth, an undeniable fact. It's just that that fact doesn't hold much weight. Now clear the taste out of the beta out of your mouth because thankfully what we got is so much better. It's still not incredible, but I did have a shitload of fun with it and the levels are pretty great. It's better balanced, the variety of, there's more weapons, and there's, instead of just having the one demon, there's 4 different ones, and so on and so forth. Just the full version is so much better than what we got in the beta, and handles better too. Hell, and even in some of the levels we get recreations of portions of Quake 3 Arena's maps, which is really cool, but at the same time it's a cock tease of, hey look, we used to know how to do multiplayer, but this time we're just shipping it off to another company. Playing as a demon is a shitload of fun and usually extremely chaotic, and I can't help but get pretty loud whenever I'm playing it.
Let's find some friends, let's find some friends. Let's go.
That being said, there aren't a lot of maps or game modes, and for some fuck-off reason, we've got a season pass that only gives you multiplayer content. Now, you know me, I'm not against season passes, per se. Season pass for multiplayer content in Doom, 100% against, because that is not what Doom is. If it were for SnapMap content or for campaign content, I'd say go and get it right this fucking second. But this is for multiplayer content. Do not touch that fucking season pass with a 300-foot pole. At the end, the Doom multiplayer, it's a lot better than a lot of tacked-on multiplayers. In fact, most of them that I can think of, Doom 3s, The Last of Us, Uncharted, Spec Ops The Line, any of the ones that I can think of that come to mind, this is much better than them. It just isn't Doom. and does not belong in this game. They said that they wanted this to be more of an arena shooter, but at the end of the day, it's not even close. And you'd think that id Software, the gods of the arena multiplayer shooter, Quake 3 Arena, you'd think that they could pull this off. But instead, they decided to ship it off to somebody else, be like, hey, develop the multiplayer. And that's why this doesn't feel like it's a part of the game, because it doesn't belong here. It's some kind of weird tacked on thing that isn't even theirs. It's just using their assets. Since they outsourced the multiplayer, we'll never know what Doom would be like with, it at the helm in current day. But it's okay, because if you do want to play with your friends, we have SnapMap, thank God. And SnapMap, essentially, is Halo's Forge, but not shitty. This opens up limitless possibilities to play for years and years on end, just for the simple fact of it gives creators the tools that they need to do whatever the fuck they want. It's so incredibly advanced to the point where, you could jigsaw these rooms together and make this whole Frankenstein's monster map, and you put a piece of armor over here, and when you touch that piece of armor, something happens, and you get to decide every portion of what's going on down to how many players it can be, up to 4, of course, and if it's solo, co-op, 2v2, 3v1, so on and so forth. That's all in the creator's hands. And I'm very excited to see what's coming out of it, because what's coming out of it already is pretty great. So just imagine what we're gonna get with some talented creators, even weeks and months down the road. So this is really where the longevity of playing with your friends is gonna be, is in SnapMap. But let's be real here. Neither of these things are the reason for Doom existing. The campaign, the single player, that's why this game exists. That's what's being sold here. Everything else is an addition. And let me say, holy shit, Doom is Doom once again. They did it! Now I've heard complaints that there wasn't enough story, and well,
You serious?
get fucked. Doom has never been about story. There is story here, and in fact a surprising amount of story and lore and the backstory and all that good stuff. And have you ever heard of the Doom Bible? This was something that was proposed for the original Doom, that it was a series of characters, and you had different characters that you were going to be able to choose, and depending on who you chose is how the story would go and things like that. And it was axed pretty much from the get-go, because that's not what they wanted Doom to be, and it's not what it is. Thank God that they went down that path, because we got what we have here in this campaign, and that makes it all worth it. With this iteration, Doom has returned to its roots. If you look back at Doom 1 and 2, they're not horror games. Even though I love Doom 3, it's an outlier. They're fast-paced, gory, brutal puzzle action shooters. Hell, if you look back, you'll probably find more puzzles than demons. Those things were so fucking complex. Now, a lot of the action here seems to be inspired by the Brutal Doom mod, which is a very great thing. If you haven't played the Brutal Doom mod for the original Doom, Doom 2, Final Doom, Ultimate Doom, any of those, you need to play it, especially if you have those games. I will put a link in the description to it, because it is that fucking great. And that's something that I can praise id for, because the action in this campaign is so intense and crazy, bordering on overkill. If that were possible for Doom. And something that helps here majorly is the music and sound design. The music is just so, when there's nothing going on, you're searching around, it's nice and atmospheric, and something could happen any second, and when something does, then the songs, and action's going, and you just, blood pumping, and it's heavy hitting, pulse pounding metal badassery. And there's a lot of hints of the old songs in there, which is also fucking great to hear. And the sounds, everything just sounds so, the demons and the weapons hitting the demons and tearing demons in half, and yeah, game's a little bit brutal. I mean, look at how it starts.
They are rage, brutal, without mercy. But you will be worse. Rip and tear until it is done.
And really, the only respite from the action is really of your own making. Because in between each conflict, you can either, decide to press on and keep going, or you can take a second to step back, look around the map, which is helped by the incredible map screen that there is. Try to find secrets and Easter eggs and upgrades and things of that sort, which there's a lot of these things. For upgrades, you can upgrade your character, your weapons, and all sorts of things. There's different kinds of upgrades as far as how you collect them or how you earn them, things like that. As like for your character, there are these little Argent energy balls that you find and you crush it in your hand, and then you choose to either upgrade your armor, or your max ammo capacity, or your max health, things like that. As for weapons, it's a tiny bit more complex, because there's essentially two different ways that they're upgraded. The first being, there are these drones that you find around the maps that once you chase them down and punch the box away from them, they give you a secondary fire mode to any of your main weapons. I love these drones. Now I say main weapons because BFG and the chainsaw are not counted in this, as they're kind of fixed in the way they are. They don't have secondary fire modes. BFG, has a max of 3 shots, and the chainsaw actually does get upgraded with your max ammo capacity, but that's the only upgrades it gets. Side note, I heard a lot of complaints before the game was released that the chainsaw was going to be fuel-based, and I was never one of those people. I don't know how those people were so upset, because I understood that this meant they were making the chainsaw a viable weapon at any point, rather than just I gotta use something on a lower enemy so I conserve ammo. And the way they do it is pretty fantastic, depending on how much it would take to kill a demon is how much fuel it'll take. And it's a great weapon for being out of ammo too, because you're out of ammo? Oh, let me go chainsaw this guy right here and have a fucking ammo explosion. I ain't dealing with none of that shit. You two, come here. Anyways, you can upgrade your main weapons with secondary fire modes using these drones. And for example, the standard shotgun has 2 secondary fire modes. One being, you hold the right mouse button down and it'll load up 3 shots, and then they all fire successively when you hit the left mouse button. Or you switch it out for the other one if you have them both unlocked, and it's essentially a grenade launcher. And on top of these secondary fire modes being unlocked by the drones, they are further upgraded by your weapon upgrade points, which can be earned by killing all the demons in the map. That'll give you all 5. It's almost like the kill rating system of, okay, you managed to get, X% of the demons on the map. Here's 3.5 the upgrade points, so you only get 3, things like that. Or completing challenges. It's all more about your progression as far as the weapon upgrades go. I briefly mentioned that this game is pretty fast-paced, but I feel like I need to hammer in the point, because holy shit, when I first started playing the campaign, because that's the thing you're supposed to do when you first get these games, is go into campaign, and as soon as I started moving, it almost threw me off for a second, because I'm just like, holy shit, this guy is moving fast. And from there on, the action rarely quits. Especially when you're low on health, you're encouraged to get up close and personal and do the glory kills, because it guarantees you get some health out of it. And so you want to, make sure you stay alive, but at the same time, you got to make sure you get them low enough so you can't initiate the glory kills, and you want to make sure there's nothing around that's going to kill you instantly. And,
Come here.
And this ultra violence that you're inflicting, really, it does feel true to your character for a couple of different reasons. One being that this dude is obviously a beefcake. They show how fucking strong he really is.
We're only temporarily disabling the tower. You need to remove each lens individually. Carefully release the hinges.
Warning.
But also, when you go to hell, there's totems all over hell, and we go there several times, so there's plenty of these to find that speak of the legends of the Doomslayer and all these kinds of things. Just talk about who you were before you woke up on the table at the beginning, and just what a badass you are. The entirety of hell fears you, and it's just so badass. That's another thing that I absolutely love about the world that this game is placed in, is that it's not some cataclysmic accident that happened while researching teleporter technology or things like that. They found out that hell is an actual, real, tangible place, and instead of being like, oh shit, let's never use this teleporter technology again, they're like, no, let's go in there, explore, use this Argent energy to improve our technology, an indefinite, unlimited energy source, and let's use it. And so it feels more of a product of what's going on than just an accident, oh shit, we let hell out. It's a hell of their own making. This not only feels like how it did go on in the real world, but it also gives it much more potential to expand and further iterations with the story and that kind of thing, finding new locations. Before this game, I never even had this thought, but how cool would it be if the UAC or hell decided to invade heaven in the next iteration, or so on and so forth? That would be fucking insane, and I could see it doing it, and it would be fantastic. There's so many possibilities because of the situation that this world is in that lends itself to more storytelling opportunities. It's just so much better than the oops that was Doom 3. And I'm not gonna spoil anything for you because I'm not a dick, but that ending, holy shit, that seemed like a perfect way to end where we were at while still giving us the possibility of continuing on more so. It was just the perfect culmination of what this game was. And the campaign lends itself to replayability, not just because there's so much of the maps to explore and that kind of thing. There's 5 different difficulties, and on the hardest, you got 1 life. You die, you start the whole game over. And so that'll be really interesting to, I'm definitely gonna try it and document my progress, and you'll see the real rage come out. If I have any real regrets about the game, it's small, but it's that health is blue and shields are green. And I don't fucking know why, but it bothers the shit out of me. That's a personal thing and not really a design flaw unless it's a visual design flaw. Because, we're all used to green being health. So why they went against the fold in that way, I'm not sure. It's irritating, but not a game breaker in the least bit. And if you know anything about me at this point, you know that if it's a multi-platform release, I'm gonna be getting on PC. So how does it run? Like butter. It's beautiful. It just runs so smoothly and it's so great. There's so many options for you to mess with, and there's really a lot of control in your hands. And on top of that, there's incredible performance monitoring within the game, which is honestly needs to become an industry standard. I just have 3 main complaints about the PC version, 2 of which are more small. A, you can't disable mouse acceleration in-game. You have to mess with Steam's launch options to do that, which, why? Just give me a fucking button in the options menu. There's so many other options, why isn't that one of them? And B, your controls don't transfer between single player, multiplayer, and SnapMap, which I'm pretty sure is because of reason number 3, which is a doozy. When you load up the game, you have 3 choices: campaign, multiplayer, and SnapMap. The last one that you were previously in will have a little symbol next to it that's white rather than the orange ones for the others. And if you choose one of the others, the game has to close down and load up that module all the way. Why? This is so fucking annoying and borderline stupid. Aside from being probably the easiest way to put 3 teams' work together into one final product, there is 0 reason for this. 0. And it's terrible. Don't do this. That's barely a reason. And the reason is we're too fucking lazy to do it properly. Essentially what we've got is a Frankenstein's monster of 3 different modules that kind of come together to form a full thing instead of just nice little complete package. And it's bullshit. So, with all that being said, how does it stack up? Well, I'll tell you. But first, the Junior Judgements. The Junior Judgements is a section in which I break down the game into various categories and score those categories, and then give the game's final judgment. Now, as a clarification, the final judgment is no longer a numerical scale, as there seems to be a lot of confusion on what numbers happen to mean. So I will be giving it a letter grade, as this will be a better representation about how I feel about the full product. Without any further ado, the categories are graphics, mechanics and gameplay, campaign, multiplayer, sound and music, replayability and content. Now for graphics. Even when toning down the graphics, just as a visual test, it still looked fantastic. And at Ultra, it's mind-blowingly incredible. This is a new high for me. I haven't seen anything that has looked this good, period. And there's some pretty damn good looking games out there nowadays. This is a new standard that I'm holding games to, at the very least Bethesda and its software. Because what's here it's fantastic, it's incredible. And on top of that, what we saw before with, the demons look just all brownish and things like that. Things have color now, and with that color gives it even more life. And so the graphics is a perfect 10. Mechanics and gameplay. Everything about how this game handles screams Doom. And if it were not things like the quick melee and multiplayer and small things like that, it would be a perfect 10. However, it's a 9. Just like the mechanics and gameplay, the campaign is just so Doom. That's the best word to describe it. It's Doom. And with a surprising amount of lore and backstory to boot. It's on top of that, medium difficulty. It took me roughly 11 or so hours to complete, and that's on medium. And I'd like to think I'm pretty competent when it comes to these kinds of games, having played them all my life. That's another perfect 10. I got what I wanted out of this campaign and so much more. And multiplayer. Since id couldn't bother to do their own multiplayer, I won't bother to say the number.
I'm gonna give it a 6 there.
And it's only that high because of SnapMap. It's brought back down by, the multiplayer season pass, but it is what it is. Sound and music. If I have any complaints, it's A, I wish there was more music, and B, I wish that the soundtrack was purchasable. I don't know why it's not, because it's fucking incredible. That there is not a bad sound or song in here. And what is his name? Mick Gordon deserves major props and name recognition because of what he has done with this soundtrack, as well as the audio engineers. This is another perfect 10. And last, replayability and content. Literally the only thing holding this down is multiplayer and the season pass. This is an 8. And the final judgment for Doom 2016 is an A+. This game is a must buy. It is easily worth the $60, not including the multiplayer. What is there with just campaign and SnapMap is so impressive and so very worth it. I can understand if you want to wait for a sale, but either way, this is a must-have for any FPS fan. Any. The franchise has gone back to its roots, and it has never been better. It's got intense action, ultra-violence, and gore. It's Doom! I will be recommending this game to every person that even whispers Doom. Thank you for watching this review on Doom 2016. I hope you enjoyed watching it, and I had a lot of fun making it because I had a lot of fucking fun playing the game. If you enjoyed, leave a like. Let me know what you thought about the game. Subscribe, all that good stuff. Thank you for coming out, and until next time, you all stay sexy out there. I probably look like an idiot right now. Shit tier multiplayer PP. This opens up limitless pop. You stop. It's got intense action.